Hello, hello. We are just tweeting out the space and sharing it across our different social media accounts so we can get some more people in the room. So, thanks for bearing with us. Happy Thursday and welcome to Mindful Business.
Hello, hello. Hi, friends. Hello, hello. I think I've got my tweets out so I can hop in and welcome some friends as they come into the room. Ashira, so good to see you. It's been forever since we've caught up. Hope you're doing great. Good to see you as well, Jai T. An Exodus friend, welcome to our weekly Thursday space. I can't believe it's week 4 already. This feels like it has flown by, these 4 weeks. And I'm really excited to dig into our topic today of routines. Really great way to close out the four weeks of conversation that we've had. And I'm excited that those are going to be available on YouTube very soon. So those will be a resource out there. So I'm really grateful for you doing all the legwork on that and arranging that, Sierra. Those are going to be awesome.
I can't wait. I have really fallen off in terms of my YouTube game. I used to regularly put up videos about crystal healing and crystal properties and all things crystals, and it's just been so hard, honestly, this last couple of years during the pandemic. It just fell off my radar. So I'm excited to start getting some content back up on YouTube. Yeah, I can't believe we're a month into our weekly Twitter spaces. Oh my goodness, it flew by. It's been so fun. I'm really excited to talk about routines today. And I also feel like it's super appropriate because Virgo season just started. And anyone who has a Virgo friend knows that we are very practical and organized folks who love a good routine.
Right on. Absolutely. I didn't even think about that lining up, but that's true. And yeah, I think one of the things I loved that you put in the description is showing up every day. And we don't always acknowledge that as routine. But I think that's a really good way of putting it and thinking about it. So yeah, I'm excited. I don't know if you want to wait for a moment and see if we can get some more friends to join in or just jump into the conversation. I'm down for whatever. I have more time today than usual, so I'm relaxed and footloose and fancy free, as it were. Want to invite too, if anyone in the listener wants to come up and be part of the conversation at any time. This is definitely an open space, laid back space. We always have subject matter in mind, but you're welcome to come and contribute to the conversation.
I think we're safe to get into it, and we'll see who trickles into the room over the course of the next hour. So, today is routines, showing up every day. I think we all know what a routine is. A routine is something that we do regularly. It can become a habit after following a routine long enough, and you don't even have to think about it. But essentially, it kind of becomes your daily Bible and becomes your fixed program of different things you do every day to maintain yourself. So today we're going to talk about all different types of routines. We're going to talk about the benefits of creating a routine, where you can start if you're someone who's struggling with creating a routine. For some of us, it comes a bit more natural than others, and it might take a little work. So don't feel discouraged if you're someone who struggles with creating your own routines. Um, but before we get into the nitty gritty, I feel like Abby and I should talk about some of our own routines that we use to manage ourselves in our daily life. And then we'll kind of get more into tips for success in terms of how you can create a routine that's right for you. So I'll kick us off. Like I mentioned, I'm, I'm like laughing at myself because I almost like, my friends make fun of me and tell me I have all these grandma tendencies, which whatever, like I'll be a cool grandma then. I have so many routines and I am someone who is very, likes to stick to them. I don't care what's going on. Like when it's my bedtime, it's my bedtime. I'm like one of those type of people. So in terms of some of my daily routines and things that have really stuck with me and I have to do every day to feel like myself, My big ones are, I think I mentioned this in a previous space, my daily smoothie. It sounds so small, but every day between like 10:30 and 11:30, depending on what I have going on, I make a smoothie. And truly, the days that the smoothie is not a part of my routine, I can feel it. My daily smoothie just brings me life. It gives me energy. It's like my daily dose of veggies and fruits for the days that I have a lunch or dinner that's not too healthy. So, my daily smoothie is a huge part of my own routine. My yoga practice is a huge part of my routine, and I'm sure it is for Abby as well. I wish I was someone who could commit to doing it every day. I'm on like an every other day cycle. So we'll call that a, it's not necessarily a daily routine, but we're getting there. Like I mentioned, my bedtime is a huge part of my daily routine. Might sound crazy to people who stay up late, but I am in bed by like 8:30 every night, and it has brought me so much more energy, so much peace. I'm able to sleep through the night. I'm able to wake up earlier and get into things a bit earlier without feeling rushed, have more time to myself before I start my work. So my bedtime is a huge part of my routine. Hydrating, drinking a lot of water is also a huge part of my routine. I actively remind myself every few hours, like I'll start to notice when the afternoon comes, if I start to get a headache, it's almost always because I didn't drink enough water during the day. Then I'll think about it and be like, oh my God, I have a headache because I literally had 2 sips of water today. So, hydrating is a huge part of my daily routine. Dinner prep, I am someone who prepares for everything. So if it's a night that I'm cooking and we're not eating out, I'll usually start prepping dinner and cutting up ingredients and getting the crock pot going and stuff like that, like midday. So I'm not rushing around at dinner time trying to throw stuff together. So my dinner prep is a key part of my daily routine. And I don't know how many weed smokers we have in here. I know that Abby is a weed smoker, but I must say, smoking weed is a huge part of my daily routine. I almost hate to admit it because it's just like, damn, girl, but it is the truth. Like, it is a ritual that I partake in pretty much daily. Everybody has their thing. Some people, it's enough to just get in a good meditation, but some of us need a few tokes before we take on the world. So, just a few things in terms of like things I need to do. And I don't want to say I need to smoke my weed every day, but I definitely notice the days that I don't tend to be a bit more rough. So, tell me about some of your daily routines, Abby. What do you do on a regular basis to be you?
First of all, girl, you are aspirational and inspirational. I love how committed to your routine that you are. At I have to say, at 29, you're 29, right? Is that true?
That's true.
Yeah.
30 on Saturday.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Your birthday. Happy early birthday. Oh, that's so exciting. I was just getting ready to open my first yoga studio at 30 years old, and it's a wonderful, beautiful time and decade. Um, but yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that not all of us are wired the same. I was not wired to be so into a routine at that age, and really honestly it took motherhood for me to really adopt good routines, because when you are a mom, well, I guess this is when I became a mother, my life stopped being completely my own. And therefore, my routines really were built around the kids. I know that I came from chaos, right? And we all respond to that differently. I am a big creative thinker. Like, it takes some work for me. It took some work for me to find the value of routine, and really the only reason I started was because I knew it was valuable to my kids. And so I've often said they have been among my greatest teachers, and that is no lie. That's really what helped me start to be more consistent with routine, out of necessity, and because I knew it was important for kids, and for my kids. So that's kind of what started it. My oldest is 18, so I have been at it for a long time. And I have to say, my life partner, Shannon, is more wired like you. He's very almost rigid with his routines, like kind of like you said, has to be a certain way to feel really good. I'm even to this day, if things don't fully line up, it's all right. I can deal with, whatever. But I know, I see the benefit and value of having a routine. And even though it isn't my natural, like, oh, I strive or long for it, I benefit tremendously from having routine in my life. And so I appreciate it very much, and I thrive best at it as long as I have scheduled breaks from routine. As much as you need to have things in order, I have to once in a while shrug all of that off to feel really good and most myself. So I wanted to get that right out of the way. That it's been a real learned skill for me. My daily routine, I am very similar to you in terms of I value my sleep schedule tremendously. I may waver sometimes about staying awake a little bit later, but I am in bed, right? Between kind of similarly 8:30, 9:30 every night. And I enjoy waking up early every morning. And I enjoy having at least one cup of coffee before I wake up any of the kids. But then the rest of the morning routine, especially when they were younger, they are getting to be older now. They're 12, 14, and 18. But my routine has always been to, once I get my morning coffee, and yes, same thing, usually a toke before I get anybody up. I get my mind centered. That really is a way for me to meditate and kind of go within, is to take that medicine, what has become medicine for me, and a way for me to stay grounded and show myself some care. So I definitely have that as part of my routine, and then I can do anything anybody needs or asks me to. Right, I can keep my shit together when everybody else is falling apart in the morning. As I said, as they're older, it's a lot better, but it used to be making sure everybody has their things to wear and lunch is packed and that everyone is delivered to where they need to be on time, because we aren't late in this house. It's just not an option because we respect other people's time. So yeah, my morning routine used to really highly evolve around them. It's a lot more relaxed now that they're older and I only have one child to take, but that's still my morning routine. Take my youngest to school and then come back and get to work. I also enjoy a practice, but as you said, oh, I wish I could work towards it every day. I think relaxing our idea of what a yoga practice looks like. Once upon a time, I would really beat myself up if I didn't have a full, 75-minute vinyasa class done, off checked off my list every day. And that became a real mental struggle for me. The needs of my body have changed a lot. And so I really find value in functional movement and mobility. And so it may not be, and it quite honestly isn't an hour long routine, but I definitely spend 20 to 30 minutes every day working on making sure my body moves functionally and well. I take care of my joints, my spine, and most importantly, in these last few years, I've really taken to taking care of my nervous system above all else. Used to be, I was real big on my, muscular system and my cardiovascular system, and all the 11 systems of the body are important. But I really highly value taking care of my nervous system. And so I do a 20 to 30-minute practice that focuses on joints, glands, and my nervous system. So that's definitely part of my daily routine. And similarly, I have to get the kids at the end of the day most days. I have a little bit of help. Sometimes we trade off, but it just tends to be that's my routine. I don't do as much meal prep as I used to, but when they were younger, I'm kind of short order cook. There are five of us and none of us eat the same things. So I used to be a little bit better about prepping ahead of time, but now we kind of rotate through the same three or four meals. I know what we're going to do and I just do it. Bird cages, we have pets. So I work on bird cages every day. I'm definitely a make my bed person every day. But there a lot of the other things I do, I tend to have some flexibility. Like I don't have to have my yoga done at a certain time every day, for example. And I think a lot of that flexibility has come from motherhood. As much as we may try to establish a certain really steady routine, inevitably, especially with younger kids, and when you have so many of them, stuff comes up every other day. Somebody's got something that they need, or whatever. You may have to show up and be support for somebody in some other way. And so I've I've learned and chosen to be quite flexible with the things that I need to do. I'll do them, but I'm flexible in terms of I may have to shift it from this time to that time. And the less I let that like ruin my day, right? The more benefit I get from still making sure I do it, but maybe it'll be 20 minutes instead of 30, and maybe it'll be at 2 o'clock instead of 11 o'clock because I needed to shift some things around to accommodate for other people in my life. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. I'm sure I'm missing things, but I love that we're both bringing such unique perspectives to it because we are wired differently, but I think our end goals are similar. So I think it's such an interesting conversation.
Oh my God, beautifully said. I love that you mentioned how being a mom almost, I don't want to say it forces flexibility, but it kind of does. It forces you to be super conscious of your children and to constantly accommodate. And from observing my own mother, I can definitely say with confidence that mom routines hit different. The routine of being a person with children is definitely absolutely a different world than those of us without children. And I feel like now is an important time to mention that we're all individuals, and so is your routine. And I don't want anyone to be listening to this conversation thinking that there's some magic recipe to being a successful person based on the type of routine that you have. If you like to stay up late, great. If you like to get up early, great. It's all about what works for you. Some people can operate at optimal performance with just a few hours of sleep. I'm not one of them. But if you are one of those people, do what works for you. It's your routine is something. The beauty of a routine is that it's about what works for you, and you can create a daily schedule that's completely catered to what makes you feel like you're operating at your best. So sometimes people will ask me, well, is it better to just make like a super structured daily schedule where I'm like time blocking, or should I just make like a loose to do list? It depends on the type of person that you are. Some people thrive having a daily schedule that's super structured and outlines down to the hour what you're doing every moment of your day. I'm kind of one of those people. And in our upcoming time management space next month, I will get way into time blocking and time management and how I've utilized this the last few years to just benefit myself. But that aside, other people do fine with just having a loose list of things they need to get done for the day. So, as you're deciding what approach works for you, consider consider your own needs, consider your own motivations, consider your lifestyle. It's about what makes you most comfortable. And also too, I just wanted to note, like, having a routine there, we can start to talk about the benefits of having a routine. So many different benefits, but primarily you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to feel more productive, you're going to feel more focused, you're going to feel like you're creating better daily habits. You're probably going to feel less stressed out. Having a daily routine can prevent daily stress. You're probably going to notice that it's getting easier to do the habits that maintain your health, and having a routine is actually a part of taking care of your health. Not having a routine can result in neglecting your health because you're not aware on a daily basis or conscious on a daily basis of the actions you need to take to best serve yourself. So my first tip in terms of creating a good routine for yourself is, please focus on the things you can control. Please do not try to create a routine that involves things that are beyond your control. Obviously, your schedule might change depending on the day of the week, and you're going to create a basic structure for when you get up or eat or work or do activities. But like Abby said, sometimes life happens and sometimes things come up that are not within your control. And when those things come up, you got to adjust accordingly. So I'm curious, Abby, what do you feel like are some of the benefits that you've experienced of having your own routine? And how do you it's hard for me sometimes not to fixate on the things I can't control. But how do you stay focused on the things that are within your sphere of influence?
Such great questions, and you're right. I honestly, life just sort of forces your hand sometimes and humbles you that you know what, nothing's in our control sometimes, actually. However, that being said, the more we can manage the things that are within our reach, I think the less stress we have. I say very often that time management is stress management. And again, I bring it back to my greatest teachers, my three little my three little offspring, my humans that I have raised, that we have collectively raised, my husband and I, but in our whole tribe of family together. But that honestly, time management is stress management. I can't say it enough. And I've had the advantage. The girls went to a school that taught the 7 habits. The Stephen Covey 7 habits. They have a grade school version of that program of highly effective people, and they would come home and share that. And honestly, I've learned a lot from what they would bring home in terms of being proactive, and beginning with the end in mind and putting first things first, and that whole list of things, seeking first to understand. All of those things helped us build happy routines here. And again, most of my own routines are built around them or have been. And so I'm in this kind of transitional phase where I'm really trying to reaffirm the things that I do for myself. And that's just kind of a mother's journey, right? Or really anyone's journey. We, especially women, I think we're givers, we're nurturers. As wives, even if we don't have kids, we tend to build our lives around the people we support. And so, yeah, I don't even remember what the original question was, but the 7 habits are something that have helped me stay focused on building those routines, because it manages the stress in our lives. It takes the pressure off. It gives, the more time you plan for something, it gives you more time to enjoy the thing when it's unfolding and happening. If we're not freaking out because we haven't laid out our clothes the night before, to figure out what we want to wear, for example. That was really a huge part of a routine that we discovered we needed early on. Of course, we all want to have choice and free will, but it used to be a real issue with my girls in the mornings. And so then I would get to okay, here's our new routine. Here are your 3 to 4 choices. Now you still have choice, but I've narrowed it down, and I know that it's going to help us manage our time better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm probably rambling, but
Can you come and pick out 3 to 4 outfits for me every day? I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I actually don't go out because I spend too much time over analyzing what I'm gonna wear, which is ridiculous because I don't have some huge wardrobe. I only have so many things and so many ways you can put them together. I love that you mentioned that your surroundings inspire your routines, and so true. I've definitely noticed that this last few years, observing my husband has inspired new routines for myself that I wouldn't have previously. In fact, I was not a coffee drinker before meeting my husband. I was a tea drinker, and then his morning routine of him having coffee every morning quickly became my morning routine as well. So routines can definitely be influenced by our environment and those around us. I think you also mentioned that routines kind of help you almost prioritize and help you decide what's important, and it gives you less things to make decisions about on a daily basis. Like, let's be real. There are so many things in a given day that require our mental and emotional energy and stamina. And most of us on a daily basis are making tons of decisions. We're as it relates to our work, as it relates to how we engage with others, what we're going to eat. When we have a routine, we already know what we need to do and in what order we need to do it because we've carefully planned it beforehand. So not only does it help us prioritize, but it just helps us get the most important things done and kind of helps us not be forgetful or neglectful about the things that we need to do on a daily basis to feel good. And it also helps us not procrastinate. it kind of helps us, put at the forefront of our mind every day, like, okay, these are my 5 things that if I check these boxes, like, even if I've done nothing else, like, I can still feel good about myself. And one other thing that just came into my head is it our most valuable resource is our time. Sometimes, depending on the type of mindset that you have, some of us might think that our most valuable resources are money or connections or status. It's truly our time. It's once it's lost, it's gone. And when we have a routine, it can sometimes help us free up time that we would otherwise spend planning or preparing or decision making. Like, these things take time and energy. Like Abby was just saying, her kids picking between a few outfits, and the next thing you know, 30 minutes have gone by, and it's like, girl, is it the purple shirt or the pink one? Like, pick one. So our routine that predetermines our schedule also allows us to use our time more efficiently and more effectively. And like I said, it's our most valuable resource, so we gotta protect our time. And obviously, it creates structure in our life, and it helps us kind of create this framework to build our life on, and have our daily activities, and we become familiar and comfortable with what we have to do every day. I'm going to take a quick break from my routine chat to welcome Heather, to welcome Miss Wynn, to welcome Jody. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. And of course, the listeners who've been hanging out with us from the beginning. Um, yeah. And also, I just want to say, you're more than welcome if you have anything to add on the topic of routine, in terms of your own routine, things that work for you. You're more than welcome to come up and join the conversation. One thing I do want to touch on is, like, please start small. Please do not leave this space and create a whole new routine for yourself tomorrow. That is overwhelming. That is not going to work. That is going to be hard to stick to. So, if you're inspired after being a part of this Twitter space to go and change up your day to day routine, don't do it all at once, because it probably won't create lasting results. Pick 1 or 2 small things each week to work on. Maybe this week it's your hydration and your diet. Maybe next week it's daily motion and exercise. Don't overwhelm yourself. And please believe that the small changes will add up.
I totally want to echo everything you're saying. Time is so precious and absolutely our most valuable resource, and it waits for no one, right? And tomorrow's not promised. And so, as you said, freeing up, taking the pressure off, working smarter, not harder, is really another way of looking at creating routines, because it just helps kind of all of the many working parts, moving parts in our lives. It just helps it all run more smoothly when we think ahead rather than constantly having to think on our feet. It also is really kind to our nervous system. You'll hear me kind of preach constantly about the nervous system, but you know, having that background of teaching yoga and all that jazz, but more importantly, experiencing my own burnout in my own body and understanding it doesn't matter. I mean, I was on a just to share for a moment, I mean, I had done all the things that you're supposed to do, right? I was on a gluten free, anti inflammatory diet. I was practicing hot yoga 5, 6 days a week, great meditation and mantra practice in place. But there were a lot of things going on in our business that were causing a ton of stress. We had a construction project go bad, and your nervous system, no matter all the wonderful things that you do, if you're not putting the nervous system and managing your stress really and truly effectively, it's gonna wig out on you. And so doing things like routine are, as you said, small things add up in such profound ways we don't even think about it. We think, in fact, we create more stress because we think, oh, I don't have all those ducks in a row. After I get X, Y, and Z done, then I will set up this big extravagant routine. Like you said, I'm gonna change it all and I'm gonna throw everything out and start over. Well, then we'll never do it. We'll overwhelm ourselves. The little things make a huge difference, but let your guiding light be, how can I benefit, right? My nervous system here, because that's really putting on that oxygen mask when the plane is going down. You have to you have to be giving yourself all of these resources so that if there is some shit going down in your life, your family, your home, your business, you can stay as calm as possible. You can stay healthy and you can move forward with grace and be that support for everybody that you've built around your routines around, so you can keep showing up. If you just do these little things, I think folks often look for these big answers, or this magic moment that can kind of help us turn things around, but it really is just the slow, steady, persistent, simple things: rest, hydration, nutrition, nourishment, all those things that we keep talking about. But yeah, work smarter, not harder. I think we could all benefit from that, right?
That is the truth. Earlier, you mentioned like don't beat yourself up if you miss a day. And I feel like that's also so important to emphasize. And so, like, thank you for that reminder. I definitely have a tendency to like get in my head when I don't follow my routine. Just even if it's a small thing, like deviating one day, it's like, oh my God, you didn't, you didn't do that yesterday. You know, creating a routine for some of us can be a big life change and it can be hard. And it's normal to forget to do something that's new to your routine every once in a while. So you don't have to be perfect. Don't let the negative self talk consume you. You just try and do better the next day. That's really all you can do when you find that your routine has derailed or you haven't checked all your boxes for a day. And the other thing too is like if you have been checking all your boxes and doing your routine, reward yourself. Like it is not easy. Like I mean, for some people it's easier than others, but it's a challenge to show up every day. Like there are mornings that I wake up and I don't want to show up for anyone. I don't want to show up for myself in the mirror. So it can be a drain. It can consume a lot of energy and time trying to figure out what your daily routine should be. So if you're in a nice groove, please reward yourself for the small wins like we've talked about previously. If you've set goals and your goal is like, okay, I want to create a new routine where I'm going to the gym 3 times a week, and like you're a month into this routine and you're feeling good and you're feeling positive, please treat yourself. Please do something nice for yourself to reward yourself for the hard work. Go watch a movie, go have a nice little ice cream date, do what you need to do to say thank you to yourself for making the time for yourself. It can be tough. And the other thing I want to mention is like routines do not have to be these doesn't just have to be all of this obligatory, like, all right, I have to drink my water, I have to do my exercise, I have to clock into like I have to go to bed at 10. Like it shouldn't feel limiting, and you should make time for things that you enjoy as a part of your routine. And that, like Abby said, that might be a break from your routine. Might be a part of your routine, even if it's just 15 to 30 minutes a day on a regular basis, setting aside time to do something that you find fun or relaxing, whatever. It might be watching cat videos on YouTube, or, painting with your child, whatever it is. Include things that you enjoy that aren't an obligation into your routine as well.
That's absolutely essential for me. As I said, my my first instinct isn't, oh, I love routine. I think we're either one way or the other, and I don't fall into that. Yes, this makes me feel good. For the most part, I know that I do better, but it is absolutely why I have to have scheduled breaks from not being in this obligation routine. I think because most of my routine is for the benefit of other people, that I have to step out of that and take that robe off, that role and that weight that we wear in those roles. Sometimes I have to step away from that, and not be obligated to anything or anyone occasionally, even if it's just, once a quarter for a day or 2 days or whatever it might be. I know myself well enough to know that I'm going to need those things. So I try to be proactive instead of denying that I'm going to need that at some point. Because I've been in that situation too, I've spent a season of my life thinking, I don't need that. I think as Glennon Doyle points out in the book Untamed. I don't know if you've ever read that. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. But she talks about how we're taught as women that the highest pinnacle of that we can achieve as women is to become selfless, to literally give every bit of ourself away to everyone else. And when did that become the idea and the prize and the and realizing that has, yeah, anyway, makes me want to make sure that as much as I will continue to show up every day for all the right things and all the right people in my life, I have to also show up for me. And part of that is scheduling time to literally not give a fuck about anything, and make sure everybody and all my heavy things are being carried for a moment. I find that to be essential for my mental health. And so, yeah, a break in my routine. Same as like so much of what you and I do in our business is centered around mindfulness. I spend so much of my energy and time. It's meant to be effortless effort, right? And it is, but I definitely really find benefit from having scheduled little breaks throughout the week of mindless, just completely mindless activity where I'm not putting any intention or work or effort, where I just veg. And yeah, that's something that I have found really beneficial. But like you said, we're all so unique. I think it's really useful to kind of take a step back and really know ourselves, know what makes me tick, what is the thing that fills my cup, what is the thing that depletes me. The more we know these things, name these things, and kind of use those as our point of reference to kind of build out, right, these routines that resonate with who we are deep inside as a person, so we feel supported by those routines, and not completely depleted. Yeah.
Abby, I love your term fuck it bucket. Like, I absolutely love that term. Just throw it in the fuck it bucket. Like, sometimes it's like that. And it's also important to note that, like, a routine doesn't necessarily mean that every 24 hours of your life is Groundhog's Day. It's fine that if you decide that you only want to follow your routine on weekdays and not weekends, this is where that whole concept of a cheat day comes in. Or maybe you just have a different routine Monday through Friday than you do on the weekend because of your work or because of your obligations as a parent. And like we called out, it's perfectly okay to set aside certain times to do absolutely nothing, or as Abby puts it, just say fuck it. Sometimes having something to mention is like, I feel like a lot of people, I've heard so many people say I'm not good at routines, like I can't stick to it. And there are so many different reasons people have. Some, I know that for people with ADHD, it can be really hard to put together a routine just because mentally, it's easy to get distracted. You find yourself jumping around a bit and it kind of becomes hard to just get into the groove of a routine. So if you're one of these people, and not necessarily saying you're someone with ADHD, but if you're someone who struggles to create a daily routine, or you have this internalized self-talk and feeling that I'm not good at routines, I encourage you after this Twitter space to take 5 minutes to write down some of the things that you do as a routine, but that you don't necessarily think about as much. Because I promise you, it's going to turn out that you are good at routines. Every single one of us has a routine, whether you realize it or not. That might be taking your medication, it might be your basic hygiene. Most of us wake up and we immediately brush our teeth or wash our face or take a shower. This is a routine. It might be checking the same website every morning to get the weather forecast, or the walk that you take to work, or the order that you have at your Dunkin' Donuts, or your weekly therapy session. These things are routines, and you might not have realized it, but you are good at routines. You've just been unconsciously doing these regular routines without even realizing it. So sometimes it just takes a bit more conscious effort to build on top of your existing routine.
That's why I love how you put showing up every day in the description, because I hadn't really clicked until I saw you put it in that way. What are the ways we show up for ourselves every day? What are the ways in which our body shows up for us every day? And I think recognizing just what you said is so valuable to giving ourselves a pat on the back, to recognizing I absolutely have routine in my life. I do show up every day for these specific things, and taking an honest look at it and giving yourself some credit and some grace. A thought I was having when thinking about this conversation today, and about motherhood, and about this idea of routines and building that for other people, and the importance of and value of bringing it back to ourselves. I'm thinking about how most often the deepest, strongest structures of support in a building, in our bodies, these are things we don't really ever see or acknowledge. They're always there offering this unending support, but we don't look at it or see it or recognize it because it's not on that superficial layer. We see the facade of a building and how beautiful it is. We see someone's six pack abs, not mine because I don't have them, but and we think how beautiful that is. But that's not what's giving a person the strength to lift into a handstand, for example. The real support and unending strength in our lives and in the things around us are often unnoticed. And so I love that you said, take 5 minutes and take a step back and look at, where am I showing up as a constant source of support for myself? Where am I showing this indomitable strength, but not giving myself the credit for it? Often we're looking, I do this, I'm very guilty of looking for validation outside of myself. Tell me I did a good job, pat me on the back, aren't I pretty, grab my ass. I'm pretty easy in that way. But we have to be able to recognize it in ourselves. We have to stop and look at, hey, I am great at this routine. I've been showing up every day for these kids or my community or my husband or my friends or whatever it is. Notice where you're doing that, and then also make a conscious effort, right, to how will I show up more for myself and be more intentional, and do it in ways that truly make me stress less, not more. Truly, how will this elevate me and lift me up on my path of consciousness, rather than, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this thing because society thinks I should, or whatever, that voice in my brain or my mom, whatever. Instead of feeling driven by shoulds, take a look at what you're already doing beautifully, and how can I enhance that and show myself more love, and show up for myself more and recognize those ways that I'm already doing so.
Thank you for the reminder, my dear friend. I feel like we can all use that reminder. It's so easy to just get lost in the sauce, as I like to put it. And I would like to just echo and say, if you're having problems sticking to routines, it's not because you're lazy, it's not because you don't have willpower. Um, please just know that it might be because you're afraid of something, it might be because you don't believe in yourself, but those are things that are within your power and things that you can work on. I think some of us tell ourselves a story that we're lazy or that we're not good at routines, and there might be some underlying fear. For me, I feel like sometimes the underlying fear is that I'm not going to meet my own expectations. So don't even create an opportunity to disappoint myself, because boy, can I get disappointed with myself. It's like, let me not even bother, because I don't want to let myself down. And that's like the worst thing you could do, because you're not even giving yourself a chance to show up for yourself. So I encourage everyone to do this exercise, because by naming all the ways that you're actually succeeding at routines, you might start to have a realization that, wow, I actually do have some willpower. I just wasn't putting that willpower uh, toward the area that I should.
I love that. I love that so much. I think any opportunity for self-reflection just helps us move forward. It's honestly a lot of the same concepts I use in teaching yoga when I'm teaching yoga asana at the end of every class. I encourage people to take a moment and notice all those ways that their body showed up for them, and to give it credit, to thank that body for showing up. And so same thing here. Just taking pause and reflecting. There's a concept in yoga. It's called Kriya Yoga, but it really kind of falls in line. Maybe we've talked about this in here before, but it falls in line with the Serenity Prayer, which I can't exactly remember, but essentially, recognizing the things we can't change and letting go of the things that we can, changing I don't remember exactly, but Kriya Yoga is that same concept. We have to be able to observe our lives and observe the things that are working for us, observe the things that aren't, change those things that we can with discipline, with practice, with intention. But at some point, recognizing there are some things that are out of my control, and to be willing to let go of those things. And it can make us suffer less is the overall idea there. But I love how these concepts really weave into really nicely to just these talks on mindful business, and how we can use these ideas of self-reflection to improve not just our personal lives, but our overall whatever it is we're working on, a project, a business, building community. All these things really make a difference.
I love your condensed summary of the Serenity Prayer. I feel like it's perfect. Oh my goodness. But that just triggered something in my mind, slightly, well, not completely unrelated, still related. Habits are not standalone, and habits and routines are not standalone actions or activities. They're interlinked. And if you're trying to create a new routine or form a new habit, sometimes it's easier to kind of tack on to an existing habit. And by that, I mean, if you already have a routine where you're getting up at 7 a.m. and you're having your daily cup of joe or coffee or tea or whatever it is you're going to do in the morning to get yourself ready, if you already have allotted that 30-minute window every day, it might be easier to tack something onto that rather than to try and create a whole new activity. So, for example, say you want one of your goals is like, I'm not reading enough, and I bought a new book and I want to read a chapter a day. Instead of trying to carve out a new 30-minute slot in your day to find time to read this book, maybe you tack it onto your coffee time and you just do a 2 for 1, and you're like, okay, I'm going to have my coffee, I'm going to read my book. And then it's like you've created, you haven't necessarily completely altered your routine, and it kind of becomes easier to make holistic change by creating habits that reinforce each other. It makes the changes feel more seamless. So for people who naturally wake up early at 5 or 6 a.m. before other people are awake and before you have to work, maybe this is the time that you want to carve out to meditate or to do your exercise or to meal prep. It's like, try and build on what you already have. Don't feel like you need to build something new from the ground up.
I think that's such good advice. It's such a great way of being proactive, of working smarter, not harder. Um, Otherwise, as you said, we tend to build things up so much in our minds that we talk ourselves out of doing it before we get started, because it's going to be difficult, or it's going to be overwhelming, or there's too many steps. But I think that's such a smart piece of advice, to start with what you're already working with, and gently start to add in little things that feel attainable. And like you said, it doesn't take long for something to become a habit that you can continue to build upon. I think that's great advice, Sierra.
It might be good to also consider an accountability partner if you're struggling with creating routines. I know this is something that is often brought up when it comes to dieting or exercising. It's a lot easier to make these big lifestyle changes when there's someone else in your corner rooting for you. So please, if you're creating a new routine for your day or for your life, please engage with the people around you so that they can support you in your journey. And it looks different for everyone. You know, there might be people close to you who actively engage, and like those are the people who your new routine is going to the gym every day, and like this person also wants to make that a part of the routine, so they're going to come with you and they're going to cultivate that habit together with you and engage together. But don't forget that the passive engagement from other people is also important as well. You don't need someone to come to the gym with you. Sometimes it's enough to have someone just morally support you and say, "Oh, you just got back from your workout? Wow, you're looking great. I'm so proud of you for, you did 4 workouts this week. I'm so proud of you." Like even the passive engagement where you were not necessarily dragging that person along with us to the gym, this engagement really does help support changing habits as well. So if you have resources and good relationships around you and people you trust who support you, involve them in your journey so that you can lean on them.
The buddy system is so important, and I think that's a good point, that it doesn't have to be like a physical, like we're going together to do this thing. And not to throw a shameless plug in here, but it does line up really well with what we're talking about. That's something that's really important to me at Elevate. That's really something we try to continuously do, is offer things like wellness challenges, so that it's not just a shameless plug. I know there are a lot of groups that do these kinds of things, so find the people that you resonate with. We do something different each week and reward you with POAPs, but really no one cares about the sticker. It's fun to do it. More than anything, it's that we're encouraging each other. We're giving each other the virtual high fives and pats on the back. And it also, on those days when your internal voice is like, "Ugh, I just don't feel like doing it," when you know someone's rooting you on, or a group of someone's are rooting you on, and you can kind of link up with them, it keeps you motivated and moving forward, and it makes it feel rewarding, and kind of easier if you have put it out there. Okay, this week I'm doing this thing, or I'm taking part in this challenge. It's a great way to get that support. Like you said, having that buddy system is really, you don't have to do it, but I think it sure goes a long way in helping you stick to it.
Shameless plugs are more than welcome. I must say, Abby, that is probably my favorite. I mean, obviously, I love the cute octopus art and I love all the different things they're holding and their yoga mats. And the one that you have as your PFP has a little wheelchair. Like, I love it. But that aside, what I love most about your community is just how encouraging and supportive everyone is to each other. And like this mutual want to improve yourself and this constant encouragement of other community members to make these changes. Like I always see people posting their screenshots of like, I walked 2 miles today, and like we're doing the walking challenge this week, and it's just, it encourages me sometimes to get up and take a stroll and get off my butt from in front of my computer. So having a supportive community is definitely a cheat code to sticking to and establishing routines. Just want to mention we are closing in on an hour, so we're going to be wrapping up this Twitter space soon. If anyone's been listening and wants to contribute to the conversation, now would be the time. But if not, we're just grateful to have you as listeners and so excited for September's lineup of mindful business spaces.
It looks like we have a whole 5 Thursdays in September, if I'm not mistaken. And so I'm excited that we've got the whole month planned out already to continue these really beneficial, to me anyway, conversations. I always walk away feeling inspired, energized, and just excited to connect. I know we both have been working in kind of like-minded industry for a long time, and I think we're both unique personalities but vibe so well together that I feel like I get a lot out of these conversations, so I appreciate it so much. Oh, Ashira, right on. So good to see you, friend. Come on up. How are you
Hi,
today?
I'm great. This has been such a wonderful conversation. Um, there were so many like highlights for me. And one of them was like I am personally one of these people that's like, I'm just not good at routines. I have never been able to keep a routine. I fly by the seat of my pants and I'm great at it. And like, yeah, it's stressful, but whatever. And hearing the reframing of like, no, you actually do have routines. Like you're not as bad at them as you think you are, was so helpful and like clearing for me. Like that's the word I think I would use. And so I'm super grateful for that this morning as I am finding myself more in a space of like, okay, there's a lot going on. And it would be helpful to have more systems in place for myself for the type of life that I currently live. So, yeah, super great to be here and be able to jump in. And thank you so much. And I'm glad that this was all recorded because this is just such a valuable conversation.
So good to hear from you. And if you're not following Ashira, please do. She's an incredible, incredible resource in this space. Has done a lot for other communities, but is growing her own. I'm glad to see you working on your own art and your own vision and getting your voice out there. Just a wonderful friend in the space, and that's really great feedback. And I was waiting for Sierra to come because I know you're who pointed that out. So I think what a great exchange today.
I'm so happy to have you, and I feel like the people who end up in our Twitter spaces, like, not to be too cheesy, but it's like meant to be. I feel like every week we have these spaces, and the people who need to hear the message just somehow trickle in and hear the message, and it's just a beautiful thing. So I'm so happy that those words brought you some power and some confidence. And I hope that as you work to create some new routines for yourself, you can start to release those limiting thoughts and that negative self-talk that you don't know how or you can't. It's definitely a season of change. The summer is coming to a close, or slowly but surely fall is approaching, and I feel like it's whenever the seasons shift, I feel like it's a great time to also kind of take an inventory of ourselves and figure out how we can shift with the seasons, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. Speaking of, tell us about moon in Virgo if you have 1 minute, and what's your birthday plan on new moon in Virgo this Saturday? Happy birthday and welcome. Well, I can't even welcome you to your 30s because I'm well on my on the other side towards my fifth. Anyway, I'm 46, but 30s was a kick ass prolific time in my life, and I'm so excited to see you approaching it. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, my love. Virgo season is upon us, my friends. Virgo is the healer of the zodiac, and this is the time of the year where it is perfect to focus on healing yourself from the inside out. So, this is a perfect time to get aligned with your inner self and analyze what's happening in your life and where you want to make changes to become a more healthy version of yourself. I'm a Virgo. I'm sure everyone in this room knows and loves a Virgo. We are hard workers. We are dutiful. We are dutiful people when it comes to ourselves and our community and our family. We just like to be of assistance to other people, which is probably why what drew me to crystals. That being said, I cannot leave this space without mentioning a few crystals that are perfect for Virgo season. Some of my favorites that I'm working with right now: amethyst. Amethyst is amazing for spiritual awareness and intuition and imagination. During Virgo season, it's a great time to have more empathy for yourself. Virgos, in particular, can be very self critical, and amethyst can kind of help your sensitive side shine through a bit more and help you see things a bit clearly and more balanced. And another one I'm loving right now is smoky quartz. Smoky quartz is typically known as a protective crystal. It's great for removing negativity. And I mention it because, yeah, it's just in our nature to be a bit self sabotaging at times. Sometimes we try to do too much, we try to be too helpful. So, smoky quartz can help us bring harmony into our everyday life and find some emotional balance. Crystals aside, I'm looking forward to my birthday on Saturday. My parents are driving 6 hours down from New York to visit with me. And I haven't seen them since my wedding a couple months ago. So I'm really looking forward to getting some of mama's love.
That makes my heart smile so much. I'm glad to hear that. That's so, so cool. I hope you have an amazing birthday, an amazing start to the next exciting decade of your life. Thanks for the info on how to manage the energy we're about to walk into with this new moon. You are always just an encyclopedia of information when it comes to crystals and all things metaphysical. I just really, really enjoy our friendship so much and love the Mindful Business Twitter Spaces every week. I can't wait till next week. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know I know that we've got great info to unfold here over the next few weeks, and I love how you've lined it up. Everything just flows really beautifully and smoothly. So I hope a lot of you can join us again next week. But as mentioned, these are recorded, and soon they'll be on YouTube for you to enjoy as well.
I truly look forward to this space every week. Sorry, Ashira, go ahead.
No, all good. I was just going to say happy birthday again. And I agree. Like, I don't know, something about turning 30. Maybe it was just me, but I was so happy to turn 30. It felt so like solid and good. And, I don't know why that was necessarily, but it was like, all right, like, yes, here I am, here it is, whatever, I don't know. And of course there were, there's always ups and downs, but something about turning 30 was just like fucking awesome. So congratulations, and happy birthday. Excuse my language.
Your language is welcome here. Thank you, my dear. And welcome to the stage, Miss Wynn. How you doing?
Hi. I wanted to say happy birthday in case I don't get to say it personally to you before it comes. I hope it's amazing. Ashira actually kind of inspired me to come up real quick because I remember, in the least patronizing way, by the way, um, I remember turning 30 and it was the best fucking year of my life, or one of them. I don't want to say it is because I actually think the best is yet to come. And in fact, my 30s in general have been exponentially better than my 20s. And I remember when I was in my 20s, in my early 20s, I made a friend who was very kind to me. She was in her 30s, mid 30s at the time. And I remember her saying that, uh, it only gets better after 30. And I was just like, losing my mind because, I was young and I'm like, no, there's no way. And she's freaking right. It actually makes me look forward. I got cut off. Um, but it makes me look forward to my 40s and 50s. Like, honestly, ugh, you just have so much more money and wisdom to take with you, right? And I think when you have more of both of those things, life just gets a lot easier and better. So I hope your birthday is wonderful. I hope the rest of, it just makes you look forward to the future, even though you definitely want to embrace the present as well. Happy birthday, my friend.
Oh, thank you, sweet love. And I love how more money and more wisdom never hurt anybody. So cheers to that. I welcome all of that. My goodness, I appreciate y'all today. Like, random side note, today we had an order come through on the crystal store and I peeked at it and I was like, "Oh, who just ordered something?" And it was my dear friend Lisa from Mystic Sis, and it just like brought such warmth to my heart. And I have to say I'm so grateful for my NFT friends and family. I came into this space thinking I'm going to make an NFT collection, and I did make the NFT collection, but I also have made so many beautiful connections and friendships and relationships. I'm just so grateful. Okay, little teaser for next month. So next month's Mindful Business Spaces, we're going to talk about business planning. We're going to talk about breath work and yoga. We're going to talk about time management. We're going to talk about crystals for beginners, for those of you who are new to crystals. And we're going to talk about digital marketing. So, like Abby said, there are 5 Thursdays in September. So we have a loaded schedule.
I can't wait. They're going to be outstanding conversations. I just know it. And I know we're running just a little bit over time. So I just want to give my final thanks to everyone for sharing space and time and energy and love with us, whether you were a listener or speaker. And definitely lots of gratitude to you, Sierra, for hosting and putting all of the graphics together and just being an amazing person to share time and energy with. I really appreciate you so much and hope you have an amazing birthday.
Thank you, my dear. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the loving and supportive energy I've received over the last hour. We are closing in on the end of this space, so I'm going to wrap it up and close the space down. Now is a good time to poke around the room and follow anyone that you are not already following. If you've been sitting in this space the last hour talking routines with us, then the people around you are also interested in routines and might be a good connection. So just putting that out there, you never know who you're going to meet from a Twitter space. I have met some amazing, amazing people just because my PFP was next to theirs in a Twitter space. So everyone have a lovely, lovely weekend. Thank you for your time and energy. And we will see you next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Mindful Business episode 5. Bye, y'all.